Community engagement partnering with iRadio means engaging with communities at a grassroots levels. Your message will resonate with listeners in various locations, fostering meaningful interactions and driving brand awareness.
Comprehensive coverage with stations in strategic locations like Reng, Malakal and Baliet. iRadio offers comprehensive coverage that reaches both urban centers and remote areas. Your partnership with iRadio ensures visibility across a wide geographic area.
Don't miss out on the opportunity to amplify your message with iRadio. Partner or advertise with us today and make your voice heard across South Sudan.
Welcome to the Sundown Show. On this show, we bring you the movers and shakers of South Sudan and the world over. We engage in debates and discussions that unearth the stories behind the news. And we have our light moments too by chit-chatting about issues that affect our day-to-day life. We stay right here on the Sundown. Join in and be part of the show on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. The Sundown. For the news, views, opinion, debates, and discussions. Listen to who is who talking about issues that affect our country and continent. Only on the Sundown, your eye on South Sudan.
Hello and welcome to the Sundown Show on iRadio with me, Madrama James. Today is Wednesday, the 25th of June 2025. This program comes to you Monday to Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for comprehensive look at the daily events, the latest information, in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews, and exciting surprises. To be part of the show, call us on 0911-022-986-986 or send for us a text message on 0913-986-986. If you can't access the radio, we are also on that's Facebook, X, YouTube, and more. You can also stream this broadcast live by logging to that's our website at www.iradio.org. Coming up. The first East African Scientific Conference kickoff in Juba this morning, bringing over 300 delegates across the East African region.
The theme guiding our discussion this year, addressing health priority and advancing the East African region health agenda to meet global health targets.
Well, we will hear more from the officials and delegate attending the event right here. And a political analyst has described the plan opening of that Russian embassy in South Sudan as a positive step toward developing the country's oil and mining sector.
Government of South Sudan also need to balance its relationship with the Russian Federation so as not to upset Americans who have been strong supporters of South Sudan since years of liberation. It is a delicate issue that need to be handled with maximum care.
An independent analyst, Andrea Mach, will provide for us details of that particular story in the second hour. And in this particular first hour, we turn our focus to a growing concern affecting nearly everyone, every corner of South Sudan economy, the liquidity crisis from a delayed salary and exempt paper marking to including the stall development project. The lack of accessible cash in the financial system is hitting hard. So what is causing this liquidity crisis and what needs to be done to restore confidence in the economy? We are joined live by Mr. Stephen Omiri, a certified public accountant and economic policy analyst and commentator. He is also the CEO of that's iMedia. Let's start with a quick look at how these crises is affecting everyday life across the country. Civil servants report months of unpaid salary. The marking of that national exams has been delayed. Business owners face cash shortages and bank limits withdrawal as the central bank struggle to provide liquidity. So first thing first, what is liquidity and why does it matter? Welcome Stephen Omiri in the studio.
Thank you so much, Madrama James, and it's always a pleasure to be on the radio to share ideas together, and the little we know, and how we can find a solution. So basically, when you talk about liquidity, you're talking about cash. Cash is considered in accounting terms as liquid, something that you can easily use. So liquidity is purely cash. And so when you hear liquidity crisis, meaning there's a shortage of cash, or there's shortage of money that is circulating in the economy. So that is the main thing. And in our case, I think this is not the first time we are having these liquidity issues, but South Sudan will not be the first country to be having to go through liquidity issues. And for our case, today I was at the University of Juba, and the African Development Bank was launching what they call Country Focus Report 2025 on South Sudan. And so the report, the discussion was opened by the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Administration, and he said he has not received his salary for the last few months because of liquidity issues. And he was saying, the professor was saying he's happy that at least there is expert that help him to understand what is the liquidity issues. And so what we are going through currently is we're having crisis of cash from central bank and from commercial bank. That's why there is a ratio. So when you go and deposit your money today in the bank and you want to withdraw it, you will not get it, simply because the bank will say there's no enough money. So they put a cap or a restriction of how much amount you can withdraw from the bank. And so that is happening because of a lot of factors, not a single factor, a lot of factors in our case. Take, for example, we can ask ourselves, a listener or somebody who is listening to the radio today, you ask yourself, what is the major driver of economic growth in South Sudan? I think you and I and a listener will agree that the major driver of economic growth in South Sudan is the oil. Oil is the major driver in our economic growth in this country because most of our money comes from the oil. 98% come from the oil. And then what happened when Sudan war broke out? Our oil was not flowing anymore. So what happened? We lost cash coming into our country. So there's no revenue coming into our country because we were using our pipeline are passing through Sudan up to Port Sudan. And now when we get our pipeline, we now pump our oil to Port Sudan and then we sell it to international market. And when we sell it to international market, what do we get? We get dollars. And when we bring dollars back here, we convert them to SSP so that we can pay people. So we lost a chunk of that amount. We were not able to. So we were not able to get revenue because we have lost what we are depending on one single source of income, which is oil. So that is one of the major cause of liquidity problem in the country.
Now, why does it really matter, issues to do with the liquidity or cash crisis in the country?
Because when you don't have cash available, you will not be able now to do transaction. You will not be able to pay salaries. You will not be able to buy equipment for hospital, medicine, because everything is cash. So the reason why people go to their banks and they're told they have not received salary because there's no money in the bank account. So that become a big issue. Because if you are not getting money, you're not getting your money, you are not able to go and pay for your rent. You're not going to buy food, and that is the biggest issue. But another major problem, you see, from the onset when we got our independence, everything went wrong because we depended on oil, and also we did not diversify our economy. The other major thing that we did, we allow our people to depend on donor funding. We depend on donor funding so much, including us here at iRadio. We depended on donor funding because when we lost our funding, what happened? We stayed with our salary. So the government depended on donors a lot. A lot of donor funding was coming in to support NGOs, and majority of South Sudan were working for donors, for international NGOs. And when you earn your salary, the government will tax you. So if there's 1,000 South Sudanese or 4 or 5 or 10,000 South Sudanese who were working, they were paying huge taxes to the government. That's income to the government. And when Donald Trump came and became the president of the United States, what did he do? He stopped the American money. American was spending $1 billion a year in humanitarian. We lost that chunk of money, and so we don't have money circulating in the economy, and the government is struggling.
Well, now, how would you really justify this? According to your statement, most of South Sudan revenue comes from the oil money.
Yes.
And according to reports, some of this money are going into the pockets of individuals. Is it really oil issue or there is a budget deficit? And if you look at some of these ministries, their budget is very low. For example, the health ministry, if you take a look at it, the whole of East African region, we are the lowest. So why is again cash issues becoming a problem here?
Yes. Even before the oil shutdowns, people were having issue with the salary. That is understandable. But now, when the money assume when your budget is becoming low, what do? You cut down on other things. So currently we are not saying there's no money. There's little money, but that money is controlled by few because they are afraid they will run out of it. They're afraid to run out of it. So there's little money, but that money is controlled by few. And of those who have other money, another factor we need to talk about is the people, the few people who have the money are keeping the money in the houses. Today, in this report that I'm holding here, the report said the poverty, people who are poor in South Sudan has increased by 92%. And probably defined as somebody who's, when you are called you're a poor, that means you are living below maybe $2 or $3 a day. According to the World Bank, we need to get the right definition. So if the poverty has grown in South Sudan by 92%, what is the population of South Sudan? It's 12 million. That means 11 million of South Sudanese are going through poverty.
Only the 8%.
Only 8%. So meaning 8% of people are living above poverty line. And that 8% people are the few people who are holding the money maybe. But then that is, in accounting, we call that immaterial because there's a small population. It does not impact a lot. So it's immaterial. So the biggest issue is we have lost a chunk of money through oil and the donor funding. And we are, because of mismanagement and the little revenue that we are collecting is being mismanaged, that's why we're going through this crisis. And it's a big crisis.
Now, the government came up with the initiative of also doing a house search with more especially those who have a huge amount of money and they don't want to bank it. Now, in this situation, it really didn't sit well with the rest of the population. Now, what can really central bank do to combat this issue of that liquidity crisis?
Yeah. Again, a government will never be successful by forcing people to deposit their money in the bank account. It's not going to be possible.
What are the strategies?
Simply because, you see, take for example, today if I deposit my $100 into the bank account, when I want to go and withdraw it tomorrow when I have an emergency, I will withdraw it less. Because the bank, that $1,000 of mine, maybe it's a net from my salary. I have already paid government money, PIT, personal income tax. Now, when I deposit in the bank account, the bank will deduct again another percentage as a maintenance fee in the bank. And that money was taxed already by the government. Now, they are going to tax me again in the bank. So I'm going to lose my money. So I will never take a risk if I am not forced to pay it. I will not take a risk to deposit my money because I'm not going to get it complete. The second thing, there's no incentives. Central bank and the commercial bank are not giving people incentive. There's no incentives. People are not told that if you deposit your money, you can be able to come and take a loan to develop yourself. Today, it's very rare for South Sudanese to get a loan in commercial banks. Why?
And economically, why is that happening?
Simply because the commercial bank look at South Sudan as a high risk. First,
what do you mean if South Sudanese are at high risk?
High risk simply because one, maybe you don't have salary coming in frequently. So how will you pay back? How will you service the loan if I give you the loan? So if you are given the loan and you're not going to service the loan, then you are a high risk. Secondly, South Sudanese generally are poor by nature. By simple, I mean the situation, the war, the conflict has made us poor. So we do not have our own resources. Even our houses are not really. If I have a land, I might sell that land at a cheaper price, because you see, I am in need. I am desperate. So I will sell it and throw away. To those who have the 1% who has money will buy it from me. So we are a bit high risk in that. So there is no credit facility. But we'll see what the central bank is doing now, because I've seen the new governor has made some good decisions.
Now, talking about the 5 Cs, where South Sudanese are sometimes denied from acquiring loan, and others have lands, and this can be used as collateral in the bank, but still they find it so difficult. And foreigners with the same lease title, they are allowed to, access loan. Why?
Simply because we are a consumer society. We are a consumer society. We don't really have a business mindset. And also we have extended families. Let me give you an example. The first time I came, and I've shared a lot of time. The first time I came to Juba in 2011, I went to Equity Bank, and I used my salary and my contract, and told Equity Bank, this is my business plan. I want to start a business. And I've done a calculation and handed it to the Equity Bank. And they gave me a loan of $8,000 that I should pay it within a year. I started a business and I paid back the loan within 3 months. Now, Equity Bank saw me as a credit worth. Because one, if my contract was running for 1 year and my salary was good, so if I default, they will take my social security fund to replace that. So majority of South Sudanese, we are a consumer society because we don't save. So we don't have the capacity. The 5C I was talking about is the amount, the capital that you want, that's the collateral, the capacity to pay, all these compound
conditions.
They look at you as, do you meet this criteria? And if you meet this criteria, they can pay you. But for Ethiopian and other foreigners, they come in this country to look for money. And that's another issue of liquidity problems. One of the biggest issue of liquidity problem are also majority of businesses that are run. If you go to petroleum sector, you go to all the petrol station here, they're run by foreigners. If you go to construction and building, they are run by foreigners. If you go to commercial bank, they are foreigners. Now, these individuals generate their money within South Sudan. But they are not citizens of South Sudan. So what do? They repatriate part of that money back to their country. So the money does not move within our South Sudan economy for a long period of time. So they only leave a little money called operating capital. One they can operate with is what is left in the country. A chunk of money is moved outside the country and you face a liquidity problem. Because the money does not circulate in the economy. So we are stopping our economy because of bad policies of the government, and even regulators are not looking at it. And that is a major issue that we are facing at the country.
In the building here, we are not trying to attempt a coup, but as a commentator, put on the shoe of that Addis Ababa as the governor of Central Bank. What kind of policies are you going to introduce to resolve the issue of that liquidity crisis or cash crisis?
It is a difficult task to do. There's a hope that the oil started flowing. There's a hope that very soon we'll be receiving money from the oil. And again, I look at this report, they're projecting this report, the South Sudan economy is going to grow by 4% this year. What are the indicators? They're saying the oil has started flowing. So there's a hope that if we do what they call public finance management well, we will be able to have cash in the few months to come. So that is good for the current governor. But also the governor, since he came in, he seemed to be a very, very experienced governor of Central Bank. You know the first thing he did when he came to the bank? The first thing is to meet with the employees of the bank. And he gave them what? The message of the president. Please, 10% kickback, stop it. The president told me we are engaged in corruption here. We normally give 10%. That's what was told to him. So from today onward, we must work very hard and put this country first by stopping corruption within the central bank. If they are going to succeed or not, we don't know. The second thing that he has just done, he met with what? With the commercial bank CEOs. And also he met with the mobile companies. And the main reason is to fast track the digital what? Banking. So that you can also reduce the money in the economy and also keep part of the money in the bank and also maybe use it through mobile company. So that is a good strategy that Addis Ababa has just started. It started on a good note. Last week they issued another policy, a very comprehensive policy, what they call MPC. That is now the management of the bank. And what do? The first thing, they raise the reserve ratio of dollars by 25%. I think it's 25%. And then they maintain the reserve ratio for South Sudanese pound by 20%. This is what happened in the bank. So if you deposit money in the bank account today, the central bank require commercial bank where you deposit your money to keep 20% of your money in the bank. And they can use the other money to do business with. They can lend it to other people. But they are required to make sure that they keep 20% or 25% of that money that you deposit in the bank account to be kept in your bank account. In the event you want to withdraw, and we are 1 million people who are having the bank account, not all of us will go and withdraw money at the same time. So the bank assume maybe 100%, maybe 20 people will come and withdraw. So there will be enough money in the bank for them to withdraw. But now the biggest challenge that we are facing, why there is also, when you go to bank and you cannot withdraw, is because the reserve ratio is kept with central bank. It's not kept by the commercial bank. So the money that is deducted by the commercial bank is moved to central bank. And now central bank now will spend that money with the government. So when the commercial bank goes to central bank and say, give us our money, they say, we don't have enough money.
Well, now, before taking a look at the impact of these liquidity crisis or cash crisis on the institution like the health, the education, and more, you earlier on talked of the altitude of Junubin keeping money at home. Now, why do you think, as a public accountant, why do you think Junubin don't really trust their financial institutions, apart from the issues of maybe withdrawal charges and other things?
Simply because what I've just mentioned earlier. One of the things is there's no benefit of keeping your money. So if my money, if I save them and I'm not earning an interest, I'm not growing the money is just staying there. That is, again, it discourages me. If that money, I cannot grow it, because money must be grown so that you increase it through saving account. If I want to go and get that money, and it is going to be a big problem. First, I have to queue for long hours. Secondly, I'm told after I have queued for long hours, that there's no enough money. You can only take out of 10,000 pounds you have saved, we can only give you 5,000 pounds. You have queued for long hours, and then you are told, you are discouraged that you are not going to get your money because we don't have enough money. So why do I want to take all the risk to go through all these problems when I can just keep it in my house, and when I need it, I will just spend it. So these are some of the things that the people that Junubin are having a lot of mistrust with the bank. But if the bank can make it more attractive by growing people, by making it easy for you to get your money, by bailing your money when you need it, it is good to keep the money in the bank because it also gives you security. Because keeping money in the house is also a high risk. Because if I withdraw the money in the bank and I'm going to the house and somebody has seen me, I'm going to my house, he will come, break my house, attack me and take the money, or even harm me. So bank is good to keep money because that is a house of money. But if it is going to be difficult. People are taking another risk to say, let me just keep my money. I don't want all the problem. So what the central bank need to do now is to work with the commercial bank. Let them make banking attractive. Let them make banking easier. We should like banking. Let them make it more good for people to know, save and earn income, grow their money. If that is done, and if the central bank can do that with the commercial bank, then South Sudanese will love to put their money because they are growing. Their money is working for them. So when I save this money, at the end of the year, my money might have grown by 12% or 6% or 2%. At least something has come up.
Okay. Similar question to that via our Facebook page. Ustaz Aken Deng Deng from Lologo is saying the Minister of Finance recently issued a statement stating that there is no liquidity in the bank. What mechanism can be put in place to ensure that bank have cash?
Simple. The central bank should ensure that they should not spend the reserve ratio. That saving that has been reserved should be kept with the commercial bank, or it should be availed when it is needed, because there's something called deposit on demand. So when I deposit my money, every time I want it, I will have to get it. So the commercial bank should be allowed to keep those reserves. They should not be spent by central bank. The government must manage the physical part of it. The physical policy of the government must be very clear. Government must cut down on their spending. The more they spend, the more they need of cash. Also, we need to work very hard to bring peace, because also the government is spending a lot on this conflict. Movement of troops, feeding them, buying all this equipment is expensive. War is extremely expensive. So if the government can bring peace quickly, if the political parties can agree that South Sudan come past then their political or their position, then we'll cut down on the government spending. And that money will be invested in roads. That money will be invested in bridges. That money will be invested in hospital. That money will be invested in education. A country can only be strong if they are strong on three things. One, the country is strong in economy. Two, the country is strong in economy, military, and education. If you have all this, you invest in that, and now you factor in that you have a healthy country, then that country is very strong. And we can do that. We are a very, very small population with a lot of resources.
Okay. Now, we have seen the impact of that cash crisis on the family, the health sectors, and of course, the education. Up to now, the results of Senior Force are not yet released officially. What other swift or smooth method can be applied to avert some of these crises? Families are suffering.
No, I think there's a big mistake also on the side of the government and the ministries, because these young people, the more you delay them, it's the more you cause more harm. Some of them will be pregnant. Some will go into drugs because you have delayed, you kept them out for a long period of time. So government need to start prioritizing the needs. A foundation of a country is its youthful population. You need to invest in your youth, make them go to school, let them proceed, and let them get employment. So a government need to now cut down on the other expenses and make sure that this exam is marked and people are paid incentive, because it's not a lot of money. Marking of examination is not a lot of money. I don't know how much is the budget, but it's not a lot of money. So a government need to prioritize the needs and also need to know that their productive society is their young generation. They need to invest in that. Let them finish education and let them go and come get job. Otherwise, if they don't prioritize, we are going to cause more harm to our young people. Because if you stay for 6 months at home, no school, nothing, no hope, you will start be thinking of drug. You will start be thinking of engaging with boys who are also, instead of keeping you busy, you will have boys who come in to pregnant you. They have not destroyed your future. And all these things are mistakes that we do as a government. Because if we don't prioritize our programs, we are going to now neglect other programs, like now the marking.
Now, moving forward, do you believe policy reforms, transparency, and fiscal discipline can help recover this particular liquidity crisis?
100%. 100%.
Where should South Sudanese start and the government?
One is we need to respect the laws. But last week I talked about having values. What values do we have as a country? Are we people of integrity as South Sudanese? Because today, for example, you are given a chance to serve as a minister or as a governor or anything in a political position. And you only you're wasting resources. You are traveling a lot. Why do you want to travel a lot when you can now cut down on your trips and invest that money into your education and health sector? Why do you want to have many cars? You want to be escort, you have to have a bodyguard who are driving 4 or 3 cars, fleet of cars. For what? Who want to destroy you? Why you? That's a wastage. Why don't you invest that money into something that will grow that money? So we love luxury. We love that fright of moving with, looking good. If we can be disciplined as a country, and especially people in authority, and cut down on government expenditure, will mean we are respecting the law.
Now, James Obedmod is saying South Sudanese population need to be educated to build trust in banking system and understanding of that lending and borrowing practices. Do you subscribe to his idea? Education
is key. Education is the foundations of every person's life. When you are educated, you are living in a light. When you are not educated, you are in darkness. So financial literacy is key. Knowing how to save, knowing how to be financial, read your how to budget, because people mess up sometimes because of budgeting. So financial literacy is very key. But also bank and the government are the key actors here. Government set policies, and then banks implement those policies as direct from the government. Government create an environment that is conducive for business. It is the role of government to create a conducive environment. So if the bank do not treat South Sudan as a high risk, then definitely education become easy to educate people why it is important to save your money in the bank account. That will become easy. So what he's saying is 100% correct. But the environment is not conducive. As we speak now, the environment is not conducive.
And of course, I'm about to even ask you that particular question. Talking about the savings, some of these civil servants are receiving 45,000, yes. 50,000, 35,000 pounds. How will you save? And back of that maize flour, 25 or 50 kg, it's over 200.
I agree. But you see, for government, if today we stabilize our economy and our currency becomes stable, it's not the way it is now. You will be able to go with little money, go to the market and buy a kilo of meat for 5,000. But you see, 5,000 today is a bottle of soda. In some places, it's a bottle of soda. 5,000, a bottle of soda. 3,000 in some places. Now, because our money has been developed, our money is completely weak. Today, they say the money supply has grown by around 300%. I think 300 or 200. I need to get the exact figure. What does it mean? Meaning there's too much money in the hand of people and it's useless money. It has no value.
Now, as part of fixing our economy, do you really also subscribe to other people who are saying our currency need to be changed?
I don't.
Why?
It is expensive to change money. Money is, you print money with money. It's expensive. Why do you want to spend that? What we need to do is just stop the conflict. Stop the war. South Sudan should not have war at all. We must have peace. That is it. You solve all the other problems. You know, when you solve the problem, the main problem, which is war, you know, farmers will go and farm. Agriculture will become meaningful. A person from Yambio will be able to move with his good here because the road is being developed. And you will come bring them. Somebody in a will move his products to another country, another counties. So all these things are our biggest problem. The main problem is the violence around the country. If we can stop, we have to pray that this violence end. If that is stopped, I can tell you our currency will start getting stabilized. Everything that we are doing now is try and error. We're not going to solve all of these problems if we are still fighting among ourselves. If there's too much instability in the country, we still have a lot of challenges in our economy.
All right. Dear listener, if in case you have just joined us, you are listening to the Sundown Show on iRadio with me, Madrama Jameson. We are tackling a South Sudan liquidity crisis, a challenge impacting everything from that salary to schools and development. My esteemed guest in the studio is Mr. Stephen Omiri, and at the same time, a public accountant and the CEO of that iMedia. If at all you have a question or comment, after this commercial break.
The Ministry of Health is conducting a commemoration of African Vaccination Week with a new vaccine introduction of pneumonia vaccine, targeting all children aged between 6 to 14 weeks. Take your child to the nearest vaccination center during the African Vaccination Week or Big Catch-up campaign.
Good morning, Mama Alice.
Good morning, Mama Ladu. Where are you coming from this morning?
I had taken Ladu for pneumonia vaccination at the health center to protect my child against pneumonia and meningitis. He was also vaccinated with other routine immunization vaccines at no cost. Is baby Alice already vaccinated?
Yes, she was vaccinated last month. Does she need to be vaccinated again?
Yes. She needs to be vaccinated with at least 3 doses at 6, 10, and 14 weeks to be fully vaccinated, immunized, and protected against pneumonia.
Really? I just heard from afar that there will be a vaccination campaign during the African Vaccination Week, but I was not keen enough to get the details.
You know, pneumonia vaccine is effective in preventing pneumonia and deaths in infants and young children. This vaccine has just been introduced this year, 2025. A lot of children were not vaccinated. Some even travel without being vaccinated. I wouldn't want to see any child get pneumonia.
I didn't know that pneumonia is very serious, that it can cause meningitis and even death.
Yes. Pneumonia is a life-threatening disease caused by bacteria or viruses. The signs are cough, fever, chills, and shortness of breath, which may be accompanied by chest pain when breathing or coughing. Children who survive may experience long-term effects on lung function and increased risk of respiratory conditions like asthma.
Asthma or lung function complication? Oh, that sounds scary. How can I protect my child from this dangerous disease?
The only way for your child to be safe is when your child and all children in your neighborhood are vaccinated with pneumonia vaccine.
I will do that immediately. Where can I take my child for this vaccine? Hope it is not late.
No, you are not late. Pneumonia vaccine and all the other routine vaccines are available at all government health centers in your areas. Tell your neighbors with children between 6 to 14 weeks to be vaccinated.
I'm glad you told me. I will take my child immediately to the nearest health center for pneumonia vaccination.
Bring your child to the nearest health center and protect them from pneumonia and other vaccine-preventable diseases. This message is brought to you by the National Ministry of Health with support from WHO, UNICEF, and South Sudan Women in Medicine.
Thank you for listening to iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
Welcome back. It's time now for you to pick that cell phone and dial our studio line 0911022986 if you have a question to that satisfied public accountant, economic analyst, and CEO of that iMedia right now, right here. First caller, iRadio.
مساء الخير.
مساء النور.
أنا كشوك من COC 3 جوبا.
مرحب.
أنا بعيد في الاستديو وباقي الضيوف بتاعنا اللي قاعدين هسه حاليا نقول مساء الخير.
نعم.
طبعا الحوار وحوار بناء، حوار وطني. أخواني الضيوف في الاستديو والأخوان المستمعين زي ما اتفقوا في إنه الوضع في جنوب السودان والوضع الاقتصادي، الاقتصاد خلاص اتدهورت وجنيه امام الدولار خبطت. يعني لو قاعدين تقولها من 2012 2011 كان الجنيه انه قيمه. طيب هسه حكومتنا بقوا من خلط في مشاكل، طبعا اسباب بتدهور انه بترول بتاعنا في بورصه السودان ما بمشي للسوق لانها كانت تعمل تدمير في مصفى من قبل الدعم السريع. نمرة 2 العروبات الداخلية، صراع داخلي، صراع سياسي، صراع قبلي، خلى ما في إنتاج لأن كنت متخيل. نمرة 3 بتاعه الفساد، لأن القروض البسيطة اللي كان بتجي بخش البنكي يتم التوظيف بتاعه كان يزول بلقى القروض بتاعه، بلقى خدمات، بلقى المدرسة، بلقى صحة وبلقى خدمات التعليم، لكن الوضع بتاعنا قاعدين فوق فساد. هل شنو إذا كان حكومتنا من خرط أشياء زي ده؟ رابعا تم جلب بتاعنا قوة من قوات الأجنبية لجنوب السودان، دي طبعا قوة ما بيقولوا بالدولار، عندهم معدات، عندهم طيران حربية، عندهم دبابات، عندهم سيارات، عندهم آخر، ده كله بقروش. ليه حكومتنا ما قدر يوقف الباب بتاع الحرب عشان يكون لنا بديل؟ السودان زمان كان معتمد على قطن وسمسم وقطب السكر عشان يصدر له سكر للخارج، كان اقتصاد ما شاء الله. ليه عندنا بترول وعندنا ارض؟ ليه ما قدرنا نوقف الحرب عشان يكون في بديل للبترول وكل زراعه؟
نعم. شكرا جزيلا. اي راديو.
how are you?
تمام. community advisor من مدينة بور.
Yes, me community advisor. Let me start by recognizing the presence of our guest in the studio.
Thank you.
Like the presenter of today. My question is very simple, and I hope CEO will answer my question. Who is controlling our currency and who is controlling the hard currency within South Sudan? Number one. Number two, there are three key values. One is flag, national anthem, and currency. Where is our currency now? Are we dropping currency to be useless, or are we keeping our country to be very strong? Number three, if the currency or the hard currency controlled by someone, who are we, and where is the citizen now? Citizens are suffering, and the people who offered their life, they were saying that South Sudan citizens, they will be a first-class citizen, number one, and they will enjoy everything. Now we are suffering since 41 years from now. Where are we?
Shukran. Thank you. First, you want to know who is controlling our pounds and the dollar. Number two, economically, whether South Sudan is progressing or dropping. And if at all our currency is being controlled by someone, then what's the faith of South Sudanese? Hi, radio.
Madrama James.
You are. Kuna Joseph.
Ay, salam late ana jago.
Mawatala, shukran. Kefa Lobanok ya Joseph.
Lobanok tamam, Lobanok bad. Nas mbara mo ngoma.
Jakabara Jamil, gadam.
Ana biseri mo faith barala tukana wala jati sija mwenye tawadi. Di kalam peta ishara economy au challenge integrate mle bidini.
Naam.
أنا بقدر نكرن قاعد على بلد بتاعنا بلد كنا بلد تمام بلد مبارك لكن أنا أقرب لأنه يعني أنا ما أعرف أنه كان نيكل عنه أنه ولا شنو ولا طبعا kadiwi Bible gale Sudan be taban na maro be au kalam kadiwi Bible le ya be ja wala Sudan be maro
ma mushkila sa na gasim de ya to Sudan junub wala shamal
wallahi kandara South Sudan lisa wa ya wanna be tap ya masakel be kam Sudan ya da kan yam dakkat ho wa
naam
lakini sana bonzo kalanta betanna ta junub gala sal fire lanta tabiri go asa yananna gesimu tabiri go logate yom dagal te gaba yom dag esele afana betana abar betana te gaba bonus lenna modinde biga maje almona sa sakarin fawade au hakuma kan te fi jaman ta mo me yom dag ana jongere
naam
kan mo bigul gal mon lo salam de jalo biga mo biga juwani anna basar moy anna berre moy ni di anna be dawa be ja saket ajat amni bigul ko da gena so ja giribu sana bigul ande be taban de ganas basar ho lagen taban halta san bijara de rabbana bi bana de kirengale malu ya afana tanin biturju be sirin asara bi etat bilidu su gumas medif o hakuma tanna o aku tane taban janna jede al jatu madira ka juara biya o madira gurusore lakin bes oder amni al ana bora min labana le juba ana kan ro ana wosu firaja mana tabana vinum beseka ana do roa bokara bisu malu majibuden na amni tamam lalna je mohni na bigini murtale anna ma derin karase anna yer ta korju ita ka ner am nyanta kandera korju ba farata korju ma na faja ita be kafo adera wenta bi siturju abogarta ke morta ma fi amni al ma faja bigini ma si wen jamin wen malo majibulen nesu haya zede
شكرا جزيلا أنا كيت سؤال أكتوال وصل لهدارين وكمان جنوبين نعم دكان جوزيف من اللبنان خنا بودي فرصة لمخالمة يلا بعدك أنا بيجي في نهاية أي راديو
مساء الخير أنا كواجه من نكرن
كواجه مرحبا
يا سلام ده موضوع مهم جدا لكن يا جماعة
يا سلام عليك كواجه ناخد من دبر اي راديو
Madrama.
Yes, Joseph from Munuki.
Good evening, my brother.
Good evening.
And good evening to the guest in the studio.
Good evening, Joseph.
My brother, a few minutes ago, I was in Juba town, and when I looked at people are used to sell money because there is a people in verandas of the shop near to the bank, and if you coming near to the bank there, they call you to come with, and they have you on dollars. I think my brother later on has to answer this. Contribution of the business, selling money through money, it also can grow the economy.
Shukran.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, now let's first start with the first question asked by Kochok. Malu Junubin Magder Wogif Mashakil. What's the issue really?
I want to thank Kochok. I think is also a contributor, morning and evening during the show. Is together with those of Joseph. Most of these guys contribute. I think the same thing that is my plea. My plea is South Sudan need to stop unnecessary violence. We just need peace as people because many of us, many South Sudanese want to go back to their villages to farm because some want to go and keep their cattle. Some want to go to the river to do fishing. So majority of Junubin Maderin and he got in Mudun because Medina fogo makula zad mabamfa. Ajare fogo. If you go to the village, you can just eat natural things. So majority want to go, but you see, the environment is not that conducive. Why? Because there's a random conflict in the country, and that's why we are all asking our government and especially the political class, because it's not a problem of one person. The conflict in South Sudan is not attributed to one particular person. It's the problem of the political class. It's a fight for kursi. It's a fight, this ego. So if the political class can put the Nubin first and say it, we lead people, we don't lead ourselves. And these people, we need them for us to, we need to stop. So what Kwajok is saying and what every South Sudan is asking, let us stop unnecessary conflict.
Okay.
So that we can go back. For
community advisor who is controlling our dollar is a satisfied public accountant.
The sole responsibility of this country, and it comes to money, is central bank. It's the only body that is responsible of management of country money. Central bank.
Now, with all these that are happening, where is the faith of South Sudan?
We need reforms. We need peace, good governance, so that we can reform and hold individual accountable. So that a central bank governor can finish their tenure. A central bank is supposed, a governor is supposed to be there for 5 years. So after we have a permanent constitution, even the central bank governor must be vetted by the parliament. Must be a person of integrity, a person who have a track record, not a political appointees who might not have interests of the public.
But now bringing this reform also cost a lot. For example, Kenya from 2000 to 2025, they have less than 10 central bank governors. Yes. But ours from 2011 after the independence, we have more than even 5 central governors.
Because they have stability in their country. They have people who are elected. They have members of parliament who are elected, and they have a president who is elected, and they appoint the cabinet ministers based on criteria of political expertise. So we don't have some of these things. You know it very well, we do not have some of these things.
Well, Joseph talked about, Joseph from Lobono talked about the gap. You earlier on mentioned 92 and 8% who are really doing well. Now with this, what is really widening this particular gap, and why is also security contributing to this?
The gap is, of course, where there is lack of resources, what happens? The rich become richer and richer and richer, and the poor become poorer and poorer. Because survival for the fittest. In all conflict is one of the places where few people can become rich quickly. Those who control power and those who control resources. For Joseph in Munich, Joseph is one of our, and I strongly believe Joseph is not a young person. Because whenever he calls, he has a lot of experience. I listen to him a lot. And he has a lot of, he understands a lot of things in this country. I think he has moved around in this country. So Joseph is asking whether people selling money in the market, do they grow economy? No, they don't. Those are individuals who want to survive and crossing a lot of confusion, stealing. Sometimes they can con you. So they don't grow. They are creating unnecessary thing. And I think the former governor wanted to eradicate them and legalize them so they can become a prox bureaus.
We are almost coming to the end of our conversation. You earlier on attended the African Development Bank meeting. Now, with the information you have obtained from that particular meeting, what should really South Sudanese citizens expect in coming months?
The African Development Bank, they have a very good positive outlook of macroeconomics. And they have major areas they want to. First is peace. If peace is attained, then government need to invest in agriculture. And as the government invests in agriculture and the oil is open and the oil continue to flow, then the government need to invest in reforms. A reform agenda should be number one. There must be structural reforms in the central bank and the banking sector. They want that to be done. And if that is done, then in 2026, 2027, then South Sudan economy will grow by 12%. If there's peace, and we know done a good reform, then there's a positive outlook of South Sudan economy, better than the region.
Well, finally, in regards to that cash or liquidity crisis in the country, what would be your message to South Sudanese?
And I will repeat again. Resource mobilization is key. The money that NRA is entrusted, let them really do the right thing, collect the money, and let that money be deposited in the bank account of the government. The second recommendation I'm giving, and I've been sharing that in some of my writing, it is important that we do not handle cash. There's a lot of cash being handled by the government offices today. If you go to passport today, you're going to pay your passport in cash. No, you just go, the policy should be made that you go deposit the money in the bank account of the government and you come with the payment slip so that the money goes. Because if the money is handled by people within that department, chances of human being corrupting or stealing money is very high. So let the money go to the bank account and they get the percentage. So most city council of Juba, you see, Juba City Council there's not any development. You know how much money they collect? A lot of money. But that money is collected in cash. It's kept in bags. That money, we don't know whether it's deposited. So everything must be deposited. So we must make it compulsory in all government institutions who are offering services.
All right.
That they should not allow cash, handling cash. Everything should be deposited in the bank account. And you just come with the payment slip.
All right. Up to here, I would like to thank you so much, Mr. Stephen Omiri, a certified public accountant and economic analyst and commentator, for sharing your experience with us. Dear listener, with that, we have come to the end of our conversation, and we have been tackling South Sudan liquidity, a crisis. I've been your host, Madrama Jamison. Also, thank you for sharing your good questions with us and comment that via our Facebook page.
This is iRadio.
The iRadio.
Your eye on South Sudan.